So many companies have done or tried to do the intersection of AI and blockchain. What do they do wrong? Because we haven't seen a real foundational sort of company that people sort of like a North Star for success.
I will tell you, even from our vantage point, Web2 AI is largely more advanced, and they are the ones that push the needle. And then Web3 AI plays catch up. It's like taking candy from a baby. Because it's so immature.
I love that.
Yeah, the industry is so immature. You don't get these seasoned Web 2 operators coming to Web 3 and actually doing something impactful. The Web 2 operators, firstly, most of the good ones think crypto's a scam and they just stay away. And then the Web 3 operators that are good don't have the maturity or sophistication as the Web 2 industry does. Medicine is a very stable profession. Why would I risk it for crypto? Well, to me, I'm not risking it for crypto. I'm risking it for seasoned operators in the AI industry. It's the crypto's the instability. I love the vision of what they're building. They're trying to make AI a public good.
Hey guys, Hamid Faqirzai here with Luna PR. We're back at Hack Seasons doing another episode of Tech It or Leave It podcast. I'm here with my guest. If you want to introduce yourself to that camera.
Hey everyone, my name is George Varghese. I lead partnerships at Zero Gravity, also helping with investments and our accelerator programs.
George, I just want to start it off with a quick background about yourself.
Sure.
Obviously, Zero G is a new project. You've been doing stuff before that.
Yeah.
Walk us through where you come from.
Yeah, sure. So I actually have a very unconventional approach and entry into the crypto world. I actually have a medical background. I'm a doctor.
Oh, cool.
Yes, and I was doing clinical research. I have the medical degree, and I was actually working in the Bay Area at Stanford in the hospital. Yeah, and so I was fortunate to be at the right place at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
I entered the crypto space in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, it was all about ICOs and token launches, and I was able to participate. I'm grateful because I was put onto crypto originally by my younger brother. He believed in crypto's ethos of actually standing against these corrupt policies from the Federal Reserve or these unclear paths of monetary policy, which could impact people. So it was a very different reason for why he was into crypto. Yeah. He was more of a fundamentalist for Bitcoin. Yeah. And I was more like, look, I'm a doctor. I have to help patients, but I would love to, see what type of industry this is evolving into. And if it's going to be a big thing, I'd love to participate early. Yeah. And so that's how I got into crypto. I was doing ICOs. I did all the major ICOs in 2017. It was super fun. I was hooked immediately. And then I was like, okay, we need to do this at a bigger level, right? And so then created a venture capital fund with me and a few of my friends from 2017. And then we started investing in 2019 actively into the ecosystems. And we did the launch pads. We did the Summer of DeFi projects. So all the major DeFi names you know of, we got exposure to them.
Cool.
And then continued. And then in 2024, while working in California at the hospital, Stanford Blockchain Club was doing an event where they were doing an AI Web3 type symposium.
And Michael was there, right?
Yeah, he did. Michael, our CEO, founder, he was there presenting about decentralized AI, data availability at the time, and why it's important for this type of development. And so immediately after his talk, I went up to him and was like, hey, Michael, this is so cool. Can I invest? And so this was March 2024. So at that time, he's already raised $35 million in a pre-seed round. So that was the largest pre-seed round in that period, And so he was like, I don't really need more money, George, but, let's talk about it.
Take my check.
Yeah, exactly. I had to beg him, in a way, but he's not that. What I did was I was like, okay, let me show you how I can be valuable. As an investor, the smaller funds, what we see is they actually do more work than the larger funds.
Yeah.
The larger funds, they'll give you the check, but then they're pretty hands-off. The smaller VC funds, they'll invest and they're actively engaging with you every day. And so I convinced him, I was like, look, if you want actual help, I know you have all the big names, right? We have Hack VC, the Stanford Accelerator itself, you have Delphi, you have Animoca Brands, you have all the big VCs on board. Yeah. Do you want someone who can actually help you execute, right? And do some small stuff, right? And he was like, okay, could be good. And so then I had lunch with him, met his wife, Ada. She's an amazing leader and the CMO, and now she's the managing director. She's a superwoman is what I would say. I really liked them a lot personally. Yeah. And then I love the vision of what they're building. They're trying to make AI a public good. And the tech team, has previous history of founding billion-dollar L1s before. Mm-hmm. And so I said, okay, if someone's going to get this right on a blockchain meets AI narrative, it's probably these guys because they have the fundamental tech people who've done it before. Mm-hmm. You have a seasoned unicorn operator in Michael. He's from YC. He's done, his previous company, Garten, was one of the most successful YC launches. So, and then we have Ada, who's like, again, a superwoman who knows how to coordinate so much different marketing initiatives and strategies. And so I was like, this type of crew is very hard to find in crypto. Again,
100%.
I've been there since 2017.
Yeah.
I know I've seen the good, bad, and ugly. And you don't get these seasoned Web 2 operators coming to Web 3 and actually doing something impactful. The Web 2 operators, firstly, most of the good ones think crypto's a scam and they just stay away. And then the Web 3 operators that are good don't have the maturity or sophistication as the Web 2 industry does. Yeah. The issue is Web 3 is so easy to get into because there's no barrier to entry. Anybody can launch a token, anybody can ape into things. But in Web 2, what we realize is there is a credentialing layer, right? If you didn't go to this university, you're likely not going to work at this company, which means you're likely not going to get exposure to this product. But in crypto, it's like they don't care about your education, your degree, or anything. I can tell you, I lead strategic partnerships for an AI company. I'm a medical doctor, right? So in a conventional world, I would never be hired in a Web 2 AI company for this type of role. They'd say you need to have a business degree, you need to have some tech expertise. What are you doing with medicine, right?
Yeah.
So that's the beauty of crypto, but that's also the downfall of crypto because anybody can come in and just do whatever they want. And so you get a lot of bad actors. And this few bad apples actually spoil the reputation for everyone else.
100%.
So Michael, Ada, Ming Wu is the CTO co-founder. He's the one that was helpful for the previous blockchain, which again, multi-billion dollars. These three have a good history of, following through on their promises to investors, and then also, executing at a high level. And so now when they come to the crypto world, it's like taking candy from a baby. Because it's so immature.
I love that.
Yeah, it's the industry is so immature.
Yeah.
And the other operators don't have nearly the experience that Michael and Ming have.
Yeah.
And so it's like it's a no-brainer for someone like me who, medicine is a very stable profession. Why would I risk it for crypto? Well, to me, I'm not risking it for crypto. I'm risking it for seasoned operators in the AI industry.
Yeah.
And those are two things that anybody will say is actually quite stable. It's the crypto's the instability.
Yeah.
So I have these two. I'm okay. So yeah, I spoke a lot, but that's kind of the journey.
I love that. That's a crazy journey. I mean, one of our CEO as well comes from a chemistry background, went to UT Austin, and then gave that up to do a PR. Again, infatuated by the ethos of the industry. Our former managing director was a dentist. You hear so many of these stories of people leaving their healthy professions and trying crypto. And then when they do, it's sort of like you never go back situation.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Going back to zero G, so many companies have done or tried to do the intersection of AI and blockchain, right? AI and Web3.
Yeah.
What do they do wrong? Because we haven't seen a real foundational sort of company that people sort of like a North Star for success.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a tough thing to accomplish because I will tell you, even from our vantage point, Web 2 AI is largely more advanced, and they are the ones that push the needle, and then Web 3 AI plays catch up. The previous Web 3 AI companies, we have studied them and we've really tried our best to understand the architecture in which they're building within and see what are the core innovations they're bringing. And we still feel that those guys are not really able to provide Web 2 AI level performance for the Web 3 user. What that means is if you're going to try and convince a Web 2 AI user to come on chain and actually interact with your AI project, AI application, it has to be seamless. Of course, it has to be super easy. And we realized that there was so much friction using these other AI chains and AI applications. And a lot of that is not the application layer fault. I would say it's an infra level fault, right? So for example, we have decentralized storage, we have decentralized compute, we have data availability. Decentralized storage, firstly, the number one bill that these founders are paying every month is their storage, their cloud bill.
100%.
Exactly. So what
happens when AWS gets shut down?
There we go. There we go. Yeah. And when AWS is down, most of the crypto apps are down as well.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, I thought you were a decentralized tech. It's like, not really. You use AWS. And so what we did is we said, okay, firstly, you have to fundamentally change the entire infrastructure and make it much more highly performant to support AI applications. And so we had to start with data availability. Then we went into data storage, and then we did compute. So our storage, firstly, at a minimum, it's going to save you money. We're up to 80% cheaper than AWS S3. And then it's the fastest cold storage network in the space.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 2 gigabytes per second. And so now, why does that storage speed matter? Well, if you have fully on-chain AI applications, if the transactions and the data retrieval and storage is slow, it's going to impact the user experience on the application side.
Okay.
And so we recreated storage so that now you can do entire model hosting, entire decentralized LLM hosting on Zero-G network, and you won't notice a performance degradation compared to Web2.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so we're really excited about that.
And that's live?
And that's live. That's live. Our storage network is live on mainnet, and we have a lot of people using various top LLMs, and they're using it through Zero-G Compute, which sits on top of our storage.
Yeah.
And our data storage speeds are, again, it's the fastest cold storage. Now, hot storage is different, but again, you're not going to be able to store persistent memory with hot storage.
Yeah.
The term cold and hot, it is about speed, but it's also about permanency.
Okay.
And so cold storage, you can store archival data, you can storage large context windows, you can store even like healthcare data, for example. We have encryption now, like inbuilt into our storage. So you can store private health information on our network. And those type of data, if you see medical records, they can extend for the lifespan of the human, which is 100 plus years, right? In some cases, maybe 80, 70 years. And so if the storage network cannot survive that long, then you're going to lose that data. And so then there's this aspect of data pruning and data loss and deletion and things like that. But Zero-G was really able to re-architect storage as a core component. And so we have 400 projects building on Zero-G that are using our storage.
Yeah.
So it's already, people love it. They're like, I'm saving a ton of money for my AWS bill.
No brainer.
Yeah. And it's decentralized. Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
So I think again, ICP tried to tackle that storage problem.
Yeah.
Didn't really work in their favor.
Right.
You guys have sort of found the right balance of that. Compute, right? Which is such a massive topic these days. You see so many decentralized compute marketplaces.
Yeah.
What's going to be the next 10 years of AI compute? Is decentralized AI compute going to be the future of it? GPU farms are popping up everywhere. Talk to me about that.
Sure. So I think what we noticed was the decentralized compute providers now that everybody knows, Akash, Aether, Ionet, these guys, they did something great, which is they brought the power back to the people in providing compute and decentralizing GPU clusters, for example.
Yeah.
But really, the winning combination is to have that GPU capacity tied to AI model training. And we know this because in 2016, NVIDIA's co-founder, Jensen Huang, gave the DGX-1 chip to OpenAI, and they started using that for LLMs and for training. Prior to 2016, GPUs were basically used for gaming, maybe for some basic things, right? Things that are not AI related, right?
Yeah.
And so,
RuneScape.
RuneScape, exactly, exactly. Gaming and things like that. So what we realized is, okay, these guys were good in being service providers, in actually saying, hey, we'll buy the compute from these centralized solutions and then we'll decentralize it. And so, they're partners of ours because we use their resources and we integrate it in a more meaningful way.
Okay.
And the winning combination is to take decentralized compute, put it into a compute marketplace, which is what we've built, and then tie that to model training, and then build AI applications on top of the models, and then sell that to the customer.
Cool.
So it's a fully vertically integrated stack. That's the path to success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you think compute can keep up with the demand on the...
I think so. I mean, what we see is the cost of compute is actually coming down.
Yeah.
If the demand is going up, but the cost is coming down. What's happening is there's actually a gap, right? Where users actually have a lot of hardware devices. They actually have a lot of ability to provide their unused GPU resources, but there's not a great way to monetize that. There's not a good GPU marketplace. There's not a good data marketplace. It's even for model training. If you were to do, we just did, for example, the largest decentralized training run in history. It was 107 billion parameters. It was a model. That's a large model, And if we were to say, okay, what are the ways in which we can optimize this? We were 95% cheaper than centralized ways of doing the training. But what we did was we had a decentralized network of contributors who provided their GPU resources. If you were to ask me, what is the best way for people to participate in the AI with their GPUs, I would say it's to participate in decentralized training.
Yeah.
If you participate in decentralized training, you get to be an active participant in the future. If it's only 3 or 4 companies, these major hyperscalers that are running these training runs, you're going to have a lot of issues with trust and transparency and model weights and biases. And even if people are taking your data and selling it, or if people are using your data against you, right?
Yeah.
Sam Altman said that, your data from ChatGPT could be used in legal cases against you,
Yeah.
right? And so, again, if you don't own the data, if you don't have transparency on the model, and if you don't have a way to actually generate revenue from your already existing infra that we spent thousands of dollars on the hardware, basically, for our daily life. Let's use that in a more meaningful way, and that also protects us from again, data injection attacks, from abusive, central authorities that take our data and do things with it and make money off of us.
Yeah.
It's time for us to make money. That's what crypto's for, right?
That's what it's for. Yeah.
Let's do that.
I get it. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
So back to the AI problem, right? You touched lightly on, the regulation component of it.
Yeah.
It's a bit murky right now. You don't have clear regulation on usage. I mean,
Right.
my uncle works for the New York school system.
Right.
They can't institute or sort of introduce this level of efficiency through AI because they say it's unregulated as of now. They don't know what they can use it for, what they can't use it for. Obviously, at the government level, there's sort of privacy and data protection laws that they have to adhere to.
Yeah.
For you guys building now, right? Are there any sort of hurdles that you guys are sort of jumping or like sort of, I guess, staying away from certain issues or building certain things that protect you?
Yeah, it's actually interesting you bring that up because we find the regulatory gaps and hurdles that the centralized AI has to jump through. We find that as opportunities for us.
Okay.
So, for example, there was cases of people, using ChatGPT and getting, information about how to create a bomb, or information or guidance towards committing suicide, for example. And these things that are taboo topics, but it's happening, and so we have to address it. And so, what we see is, okay, there's going to be regulatory frameworks that come into place, just like there is for Meta, Facebook, where they're like, there's age restrictions, and then there's parents have parental controls on, what type of content their kids see. That's going to happen in Web2 AI as well. Like these LLMs, there's going to be parental controls. You have to be a certain age. There's going to be guidelines. And so we, on the decentralized AI side, see it as an opportunity because we can create the infra and the guardrails that enforce those policies, right? And we can also say, hey, we can cryptographically prove that there was no, let's say, abuse of that system. And so if, for example, this LLM is being used towards a certain goal, which is against humanity, if they use it through a decentralized network, what we can say is, hey, this actual model can only do X, Y, and Z through this type of pathway. And if you want to do that other thing, you have to use another model, which is not cryptographically secured by us. Right. And so people will still have the opportunity, like, the early uses of Bitcoin was on Silk Road. Like, so people can still use decentralized LLMs for whatever they want. But when you add smart contracts, when you add TEEs, these are called trusted execution environments. So you add these boxes and hardware, security measures, you can have these LLMs run in a protected environment. And so then the users will be forced to follow certain guidelines, which would adhere to regulators. And so we think, and even Jensen Wong recently said this in a podcast, he was like, open models and the way that, that decentralized training is going is probably a good way to actually address a lot of these issues that centralized LLMs are facing.
I guess the connection between this sort of regulatory stickiness, and obviously it relates to your profession in healthcare because people are using more and more AI to help them when it comes to diagnosing themselves, or doctors are using them now. So how does that, is there a way we can build a sandbox for them, for medical professionals, so that they can effectively use it without compromising patient care?
Sure. I can tell you from firsthand knowledge, at the Stanford Hospital, they're not allowed to use ChatGPT, the normal version of ChatGPT.
Okay, cool.
They're not allowed to, because you're handling patient data. And even if you remove the name and things like that, it's still risky. And so what they had to do is create their own local models, right? And they have some safeguards in place, and then the doctor's able to use it. So it's like let's call it a healthcare trained model of ChatGPT, which the doctors at the hospital can use.
Okay.
And so even they cannot use the centralized solutions at the base level. They have to do some sort of guardrails and training on top of that, and then, give it to the physicians.
Cool.
And so we think that's the future, where instead of one large all-in-one, LLM, we call it like a general purpose LLM. We actually think the future is specialized LLMs. So let's call them small language models, for example. And they're going to be trained and tailored for specific applications: healthcare, robotics, gaming, finance. And so what we do is we say, hey, we can create these with a modular infra. We can host it on zero-G compute. And in our compute network, we have nodes. And so the various nodes can be clustered together to solve a specific, vertical. So it could be a healthcare compute network.
Yeah.
Right. And so you can run the hospital LLM on that compute network nodes. Right. And so again, it's local, it's protected, and again, you're able to scale as well. So now that's one hospital, Stanford, but what about the thousands of hospitals in the US? How do they get access to that, right? They're not in Silicon Valley. They don't get to just, call Sam and say, hey, get us the latest version of ChatGPT. So, the way to scale it is to say, hey, we've done it with these nodes. Let's distribute these nodes across the network. And anybody can tap into these nodes from anywhere in the world. And then as long as we set some guardrails in place to keep things safe, everybody gets access to Harvard-trained or Stanford-trained physicians as an LLM, as an AI agent even, who can just, give them guidance. Yeah.
That's a bit scary.
It is scary. It is scary, but it can also be a big enabler. In the US, there's a huge gap, a physician-patient gap. There's a huge gap. So a lot of people are not able to get access to physicians or healthcare. And now with AI, they're going to get access to that, which they probably would, they wait months to see a doctor, right? Now they can just log in and get at least a good guideline on what to do with their health.
100%.
And then if the AI is like, this is critical, you have to go to an emergency room, sure, they'll do that. But most of the routine cases, if you study what's happening in the US, it's just preventative medicine, routine visits. And even for that, they have to wait so long. And so I think actually bringing AI into the healthcare space is a game changer.
Game changer. Because, I'm from Toronto. You lived in Toronto for
did,
a while.
yes,
You know what it's like to see a specialist.
It's still tough.
Insane.
It's insane.
And so personally, I'm self-diagnosing most of the time. And I can tell when something's critical, when something's not critical. And obviously pain levels sort of help me. But it's so cool how the integration of this sort of technology is going to change so many different things. And at an infrastructure level, how much training matters, how much, decentralized compute matters. And I don't know, like storage itself as a key issue on cost variability. Insane.
I want to give you an example as well. We have several hospitals that are using zero-G's visual language model to interpret their scans. And so they're hosting these ultrasounds and these MRIs and X-rays on zero-G storage. And then the AI model is a visual language model, a VLM, we call it. And that visual language model is actually reading the scans and giving outputs. And again, we're working towards HIPAA compliance, which is the compliance structure within the US for healthcare. We're also working towards GDPR compliance, which is the European compliance. But what we're able to do is to say, hey, you can trust that this data is going to stay locally in your hospital or within a protected enclave in the cloud. And so, obviously there is some assumptions made there, but we can cryptographically also ensure the data is secure. And so they're using these LLMs, and they're using a decentralized storage network to actually meaningfully impact people's lives. And this is super cool. And the outputs from these scans that we're able to help support, I mean, they're cutting diagnosis times by huge margins. We haven't released anything about this stuff. This is all early stage stuff. And so, in the future, we'd love to show the stats. We've already broken the world record for decentralized model training. I think maybe let's try and break some records in decentralized healthcare. Let's see.
It's so cool. You probably want to go back and be a doctor now.
I mean, what I would love to do is take this technology that zero-G's building and go to my peers and say, hey guys, like if you're not using this type of technology, you're falling behind. And so I actually love medicine. It's my passion. But I just think the way medicine is performed now is not going to be the way it's in the future.
Yeah.
And if you are a doctor and you do not utilize AI, you are going to be left behind. And so what do we need to get the doctors on board? Well, first we have to address all the various biases against crypto first, right? Because they're not going to touch crypto if they think it's a scam.
Yeah.
And so that's where regulations come in. A lot of people are doing stuff on the crypto regulatory side, which is great. We have the Clarity Act. We have all these bills coming in. So that's great. And then how do they trust the AI? And so that's where we come in, and we're doing, these various privacy and security and data storage and compute. We're doing all these things in a very safe and an institutional friendly way.
Yeah.
And then when you combine the two, policy regulation and privacy enforcement, and you give it to a doctor or a healthcare institution, and then they can say, okay, I'll take that bet.
Okay.
Right? And then when they take their bet, my bet is they will be ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
If they don't take that bet, just like when the horse buggy was gone with the Model T with Ford,
Yeah.
they're going to be the same thing. There's going to be hospital systems that are outdated. They're going to lose revenue, or they're going to be taken over by PE firms, and then they're going to be forced AI after anyway. But in that process, there's going to be people who lose jobs. There's going to be patients that are going to die, and you got to, bring it in together and figure out a way to actually win that battle.
Yeah.
And I think AI is the great enabler for that. Yeah.
That's so interesting, man. I had no idea we were going to have this conversation.
Okay, great.
So I guess last question
Sure.
before I sorry I've taken up so much.
No, it's
time.
perfect. Yeah.
What's next for Zero G?
Sure.
What are you guys working on?
Sure. So we just launched an accelerator with the Stanford folks in the Valley. It's called the Apollo program, and we're basically committing up to $2 million per team, up to 10 teams over 10 weeks. And we've partnered with Google Cloud and Privy. And what we're doing is we're going to support both Web2 and Web3 AI builders with amazing financing, and also like credits and technological, tools and things like that in the AI space, so that they can launch amazing applications. And so that program is live now for applications. It's going to close around April 10th, and then we're launching it on April 21st.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. So
That's awesome. Long list of partners.
we have a lot more to announce. Sorry, yeah, there's a lot. And we've already got a ton of applicants. Like, I can tell you, I understand we're in a crypto bear market. We're not in an AI bear market.
No.
There's a lot of cool AI projects being built. And so we're inviting everybody to come check out Zero G Infra. We have the finances if that's the incentive, but actually I think people will enjoy the technology that we're building, and they'll see that there's a true increase in their productivity, in the throughput, in the security, in the scalability. At Zero G, you get all of that out of the box.
Yeah.
And then if you just need money, sure, we can invest as well. But I think the best match is to combine infra with financial incentives.
Yeah. Super cool, man. I mean, I'm so excited to see where AI goes. I mean, I bought a Mac Mini a month ago. I don't need that anymore.
Right.
The cloud is coming out with something every other day.
Right.
That changes the landscape of AI. So I'm interested to see what you guys do. I mean, speaking to Michael in Korea versus what you guys are doing now, things are moving really fast, and really excited to see what comes next.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.